Stacey J.
And I'm Chuck Duran.
Welcome to VO Buzz Weekly, the web show all about the voiceover business.
That's right. And on today's show, we have the amazing Billy West. And boy, are you guys in for a treat.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's going to rock.
What do you got for us?
We have an email.
Nice.
A very special email from someone very far away.
Wow. I'm not going to look. I want to be surprised.
I think it's a he. Writes, "Hi Chuck and Stacey J. My name is Sanjo. Hope I said that right. And I have been watching you guys from Lagos, Nigeria. If you ever feel low, just know that people from around the world are blessed by your show. I especially like it when you show VO home studios. It opens my mind further. I love you guys."
Thank you so much, Sanjo.
Thank you. We love you too.
That is really cool.
My
wow,
gosh.
How cool that people are watching VO Buzz Weekly from all over the world.
I know, and that there's voiceover going on all over the world.
Wow.
And that we all can come together on this wonderful thing called the internet.
That is cool. That
Fantastic.
is very cool. Yep.
Give us some updates about the biz in Nigeria. I'm curious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now it's time for VO Buzz Tip of the Week. What was that? It was like a little
Swahili.
rat cracking a little nut or something.
There's my squirrel.
Oh my God. So anyways, I've been doing all these seminars and speaking at panels and stuff, and people keep asking me one question that I want to clarify, and that's the content of a demo and how specific it should be. And this is what they were talking about. If you have a commercial demo, it should be nothing but commercials on that demo.
Right.
If you want promos, then do a promo demo. If you have animation, that should be its own separate demo. This is the industry standard. And if you want to be perceived as a pro, then you need to format your stuff like the way the industry likes to see it. So don't have a demo with everything on it. Like, you know, here's a commercial spot and an animation spot and a promo spot, a narration piece. Don't do that. It's not cool. If you were going to go to buy a Toyota car and you went to the Toyota dealer, you'd expect to see all Toyota cars because that's what you're looking for. How disappointed would you be if you only saw one Toyota and then everything else of all these different makes? It's kind of the same thing. And there's different agents and different buyers for everything else. When a buyer is looking for something for narration, all they want to hear is narration. They don't want to be bombarded or listening to things that don't pertain to what they're doing.
Yeah.
So format your demos correctly.
And you book jobs off those demos.
Absolutely.
So it has to sound like the real thing.
Yep.
Cool.
Is it time?
Oh, it's time.
Whoa! Here we go. Billy West, baby.
Yay! Okay, how cool is this? Our guest has been called by Entertainment Weekly the new Mel Blanc. He is known for his quartet of roles on Futurama, for Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd in the movie Space Jam, for Elmer Fudd, and he's snoring right now, for Elmer Fudd in the Looney Tunes show. Oh, do the voices as I say that. That would be good. He has the original voice of Ren and Stimpy.
Hey,
Popeye.
Ren, will you button me? Will you shut up, you fool? Else I shall kill you.
Doug, a Nickelodeon's Doug.
Oh, this is my girlfriend, Patty Mayonnaise, and this is Billy West, and if it wasn't for him, I would be driving a truck full time.
Well, maybe we should talk to Zap a little bit.
Why would you want to do a foolish thing like that unless you're willing to take all your clothes off right now?
Well, Dr. Zoidberg, I'm having this pain right here.
Oh, all right, open your mouths.
But we want to learn from Professor Farnsworth.
You can't learn anything because I don't remember anything I learned.
But Philip J. Fry, I'm Stacey J. Aswad. We have a J in common.
You know, I just woke up. That your name made me wake up.
It's basically my voice when I was 25.
You know, it's just kind of plain vanilla and always whiny and...
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys, let's just talk to the amazing rock star musician, Annie-nominated actor, and he can imitate every single person on the planet and a few squirrels, I'm sure, too.
Yep.
So, the incredibly talented Billy West is with us on VO Buzz Weekly, and we are so excited.
Yeah! Billy
How are
West.
you? Thank you for being here. You.
Yes, you.
And you.
Thank you for being on the show
Oh,
today,
my
buddy.
pleasure.
Thank you for taking the
so
time.
much.
What are you going to do if I don't let go?
Come here. Well, she has built for two. Here comes
You
Stitcher.
guys can't.
Yeah, do you need to
I'm
be...
going to do it from over
do
here
you,
today.
let me ask you a serious question. Do you need to be part of this at all?
I'm always a part of it.
Okay,
So.
all right.
All right.
You've cred.
Okay. All right.
You have cred.
Oh, God.
You're one of my favorite guitar players.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Well, the feeling is way, way mutual. But we're going to get to that. Billy is multi-talented, as you will
Yes.
find out in the next few minutes here. I want to start off by asking you, man, tell us all how you got started in this crazy business.
Well, most of the stuff that you wind up doing, if it's crazy stuff, you did it in school.
Yeah.
You were, of course, discouraged, by making noises and doing voices, and people would just come by you and say, can you not? I was always being asked, can you not, open up a piano lid and try to tinker around trying to figure out music. Can you not? It was horrible for me because all I was dying to do was express myself.
Yeah.
I had so much stuff that I needed to express and I couldn't do it. Plus, I was an abused child, and I didn't dare make any stink about anything for fear of penalty of death. And it was very strange growing up in my house. Psychotic dad, drunk, angry, and also jealous, that I was born. It was
Really?
like he wasn't into that. But he had a lot of talent. He could do voices, he could do dialects, and so anyway, here I am trying to figure everything out, and you don't, until like the 6th grade, I didn't start becoming a wise guy till like, I don't know, the middle of high school, but I was a covert wise guy, making little noises of swamp creatures, in a study period, and,
Yeah.
and the teacher, I'd be like this on the desk. And the woman, the teacher, Miss Bergamini, her name was. She was this
remembers.
this old hatchet face, and would look up. She's like, and this,
Ooh, the craning of the neck.
yeah, and go back down again, and all of a sudden he'd be like, make it just like, and she would look up again. She go,
Did she ever know it was you?
no, I was a good liar.
Oh, that's handy.
I could pull a story out of my rear end, if I get blamed for anything.
yeah.
Well, you see,
Yeah.
and she would look up and go, "Who's making that noise? Was it you?" She was like a witch,
Yeah.
and I was getting scared, and I said, "What can she possibly do to me? What is she gonna knock my teeth out or pull my tongue out?"
all these witnesses.
Huh?
You have all those witnesses. She
Yeah.
can't do it in front of you.
Well, no, they were draconian, the teachers. I grew up in the 50s
Yeah.
and 60s.
Did you go to public school or Catholic
Yes.
school? Okay.
I also went to parochial school with the nuns, but that's a
Whoa.
whole other.
They
That's
must
a
have
whole other show.
loved you.
That's another show.
Wow, man.
Yeah, so anyway, getting into it, it was just kind of like I was waiting around to be sprung
Yeah.
from a cage. In high school, I was a very kind of quiet kid, except when I was riffing and fooling around, but I was respectful. I was a little gentleman, but I wasn't being a child because of my home life.
Yeah.
So I was dying to get out and play. So it took till 21 years old. That's when I had my childhood, and I went nutso.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I had already been playing guitar since I was about, I don't know, from 1961 in Detroit, and had my first band in 1966. And it was a place where you could go and screw around. I didn't take anything that seriously. I took the music seriously.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when we'd be playing, there'd be an amp would blow up, or you busted a guitar string. Roadies, not invented yet.
Yeah, right.
And you'd have to stand there while some guy changed his string, or you were sweating to fix an amp, or whether you should both go out of one amp that
Right.
works. There's a crowd in front of you.
Yeah.
So I felt like I compelled to go up to the microphone and start screwing around, doing little ditties and voices, probably Warner Brothers, probably half-assed versions of it, I'm sure. But I couldn't let people just stand there. I would die of embarrassment.
Yeah.
And I'd rather get like somebody telling me, come on, man, play some music. I was buying time,
Yeah.
stalling around.
Sure.
Yeah.
Back in those days, amps, it's like cars, tires used to blow out years ago, and it was always overheating. What do I need? You need a new freeze plug, How much? $1.80. I don't have the money, But now cars, nothing happens.
Yeah.
And same with equipment, amps don't blow up anymore.
No. Not like
unless
they
you
used
play
to.
like him,
Well, yeah.
and it's a Marshall 2 amp,
Oh!
bordering on, say, I don't know, 200 healthy watts.
Yeah, I have had a couple of amps blow up on stage in front of giant crowds.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's
There's always a
hellish,
backup.
and you know.
It is.
So, okay, but I was the guy. I was put upon to just go do something, you know. And so,
Keep the crowd.
yeah, and the stuff used to happen. And we got a club gig one time, and there was a huge leak in a rainstorm. And basically the front area of the club, right near the little square stage that was that much off the ground,
Yeah.
we're getting flooded, and I didn't want anybody to leave, and I had a bag of props, and I put on a sailor hat, and and grabbed something that looked like a canoe paddle, and and started singing, like Popeye, which is like I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I said, folks, the truth is, I'll go through any amount of toiletry to make sure you don't leave.
Yeah.
Which I really would go out of my way, and they stayed. The crowd actually stayed. They just kept their feet while the squeegees were going on, and we just kept playing.
When did you realize that voiceover could become a career for you?
I didn't, because I never got the message whether people liked me or not. You know how they used to say that about Freddie Prinze?
Yeah.
People would be splitting with laughter, dying, and he couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
It's a psychological thing. And, so I was kind of like that. I was never sure if anybody liked me or was into what I was doing, and it took a while to figure out. So I never got the idea that anybody liked me. It was for some reason I couldn't see it, or I was too innocent.
Right.
I was very pure.
Yeah.
I was never a scheming person, like I'll do this and I'll do that. It just, everything kind of flowed the way it did. Although my band did play tons of covers, and it took me forever to realize that they're not clapping for you. They're clapping for Deep Purple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the voice thing was always part of that stuff. I'd be making stupid announcements, like, not in those days, but if I was doing it now, I'd be like, this portion of our program is brought to you by Bluetooth. Now brain cancer comes in a new color, blue Bluetooth. And by Tang, the space drink, now in orange and poon. It was always riffing just to see what the hell could come out of you. And I was always like searching, and if you started to play a character, all of a sudden it started talking, and the other side of your brain is going, something took over.
Yeah.
It's not like schizophrenia, I'm sure, but I've always considered, you might disagree with me, I've always considered that talent is a form of mental illness, because it's aberrant to the human condition. It really is. I mean, not everybody has talent. There's groups of people within hundreds and thousands of people that have different degrees of talent, but it's not.
Well, you say that you're innocent. Would you consider yourself fearless? I mean, for
Yes.
all that you do,
I was
have to be.
fearless. It was something we were talking about earlier about how, you're one of those kind of guys where it's the difference between objective and subjective reasoning. You can't take that for what it is. It's like, you don't have to fall off a garage roof to know that it will hurt, but you do have to fall off to know how much it'll hurt. And I was an extreme, either here or there, and I wanted to know everything,
Right.
and I would do stupid things. And plus I was plied with alcohol for about, let's put it this way, I quit everything about 28 years ago. And coke, that was part and parcel to the band business.
Yeah.
And one night I worked in radio at that point, got out of a band and started doing voices for a morning show. I cut my teeth, as far as voiceover goes, in radio. Like, that's a piece of advice to people. If you do voices and you're going, I don't know what to do with myself, and it's like, go where they need someone who does voices. You might not get paid, or you might get paid very little, but if you go to a program director at a radio station and says, I know you got this morning show, but I do like a lot of characters or voices, and you just gotta have balls. There's no, there didn't used to be any set maps or ways that you could go about things. I had to figure out everything the hard way.
How did the Howard Stern show come about?
That was because I had sobered up and I wanted to go to New York. Because that's where the big time was, supposedly. And then I found out it's such a high level of organized mediocrity. It's like more of the same. I was working for a program director saying, can you not You know, like when I do crazy promos, it's like, I don't need that. I can't use that. You know, and he was always in the window like this. You know, peeking in at me like a rodent, and I was like, you know, I felt like I don't belong here. Yeah. And so I was dying. I was running all over town doing every audition. I auditioned for Living Color. I was getting commercials as a voiceover, and that's, you have to get in there and be thrown in the arena to find out how you'll do and how good you are, and how, if you don't die of embarrassment, how much better you could be. And that's, you know, experience. And I started to do okay, and I said, maybe I can get out of this radio business. But when I first came to New York, the boss, the guy that owned the station, told Howard about me, and he was giving him tapes and stuff, and Howard knew who I was. And when I came there, you know, I just would come in and say hi to him. He'd been in his office and, you know, eating a baked potato, and, you know, and I'd sit down, and it's like, you know, I'd have the paper, and I go, oh man, well, it finally had to happen. I mean, Lucille Ball's in the Cedars-Sinai, you know, hospital. She's dying, and yeah, that's too bad, you know. He's like, yeah, she was funny, you know. And I would start doing her in the hospital, like, you know, somebody bothering her or whatever. And Howard was laughing so much that he spit potato out of his nose. And he says,
The ultimate compliment.
oh, Billy West. You know, he's like, you got to do that on my show tomorrow morning. I'll have Gary call you. So Gary calls me, and he says, okay, you're going to be on with Howard. And Gilbert Gottfried is here. I don't know if you know him. And I was nervous because this was a guy that could, like, if you screwed up, he'd call you on it in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. Everything is all, what do you call it, bumps and all, warts and all.
Yeah.
So I get on, and he goes, Robin, we have on our phone, we've contacted the Cedars-Sinai, and we have Lucy's room. You do? Yeah, you know, I guess she's answering her own phone. I wouldn't do it. If I had cancer, I wouldn't do it. And then he goes, hello, Lucy? And I'm like, hello? And he goes, Lucy, how you doing? You don't sound too good, Lucy. You know, have you stopped smoking? And I'm like, no. You know, just everything against what he was saying, and it's like, why are you people bothering me?
So you do all these freaking crazy voices and stuff like that, and some of them are really demanding. I know, because I've tried a few of them, and I'm like, ow, that hurts. Is there any ritual or anything that you drink or anything that you do to warm up to do this stuff, or?
No, I never thought about that stuff. I always thought that it comes from a place in your brain. First and foremost, and then the voice would just fall into line. But I did have some troubles, like when you get real sick. I had pneumonia once, and I had to go to a voice builder. Yeah. But this was way later on in my career, and he doesn't teach you how to sing. He could, but what he teaches you to do is exercises that strengthen the muscles around the vocal cord. They get no exercise. They're not involuntary. They're just there when you need them, but it's just like this. I could let it go for years, and then when I go to use it, it'll work okay, but if I had been exercising, it'll be a lot stronger.
Right.
So you do that daily? Is that something once you build those? How do you maintain that?
Yeah, the little exercises and stuff. The guy's name is Gary Katona, and I believe Jess knows about him. Okay. Jess Harnell.
Jess Harnell, everybody.
Good job, Gary.
The Animaniacs. So, you know, that was the help that I kind of needed when I was in trouble. But everything else, it was just like, if it's in your brain, like characters have a musicality. Yeah. You know, and if you're going to do any kind of a voice, it has to be realized in your brain. And so you can identify those things without thinking too much about the musicality of a character. You know, like, say it was like George Jetson. You know, come on, Janie, honey, the cleaners are 500 miles away. It'll take an extra 5 minutes just to get there. You know, so in my mind, it's like, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
So you're hearing melodies.
Yeah.
Yes, and like Yogi Bear, you know, I'm smarter than the average bear. Hey. You know, and that's na-na-na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na-na-na.
Right.
You know, and that's that helps you get to the place, and it also helps your characterizations.
Yeah.
If you got control over how it's going to go, you know the melody already.
Right.
You've got a vehicle you can jump in and not have to think that hard about it.
Exactly.
So then once you get that, then you can just focus on the acting.
Yes. The thing about acting is I just go with my gut. You know, I mean, I've
So
watched...
your gut has to act good.
Yes. Well, you know what really helped me was when I was growing up before grade school, in the morning, they would show the Three Stooges. I was learning to act from those two real comedies. I was learning how reactors are and what they do when they're not doing anything. And the expressions, you know, and the timing. I swear to you, that's how I learned to perform.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, those are on YouTube. Anybody could watch those. But I just had this weird feeling. I know I'm wrong because, you know, kids are different. I was different. But I have to tell you, when I was a kid, Jack Palance was once 27 years old, and so was Robert Mitchum.
Yeah.
And they were like, you know, he's like, you know, I told you to leave, and you wouldn't leave. You know, it's like, look, you don't scare me.
In the face.
You don't scare me at all. And now if you have two 27-year-olds in a movie talking to each other, it's like, dude, where are you going? Dude, none of your business. You know, it's like the same voice. It's very hard to mimic anybody, you know?
Yeah.
How do you mimic, you know?
Well, in a situation like in Futurama, you play 4 main characters plus a bunch of incidental characters. There are times when the scene is all you, or
Yes,
the majority.
sometimes.
How do you do that? How do you handle that situation? Do you do it in real time?
Yeah,
or?
we do it in real time. Like Ren and Stimpy was done one character all the way through and then another character. But that takes a long time.
Yeah.
So I got good from doing Doug
Yeah.
on Nickelodeon years ago. I got good at doing it in real time.
Wow.
Because you become so conscious of separation, and it's like, I don't want people to laugh at this and go, who does this guy think he's fooling?
Right.
You know, I wanted to be able to be a, painless, painfully shy 11-and-a-half-year-old.
And I also wanted to be that kid, like,
Hey, loser! Hey, funny! Why don't you come over here? Vote for this!
you know. And, you know, I was obsessed with keeping them as separate as I could.
Yeah.
So I got better at doing stuff in real time, and Futurama's done like that.
Wow. Well, that's like a talent all in itself right there,
right.
man. Whew.
Well, it's
But I
just
mean,
like
you're
you
so
asking me
fluent
to
in
do
all
a
these
series of
yeah.
characters from Futurama. It's like,
Man, all this constant exposure to radiation is making me thirsty.
you know, and then,
Yeah.
good news, everyone! Bad news.
Right.
And, young lady, get me a sandwich from the dumpster and leave the maggots on it. And, and then, this is Zap Brannigan, master of time, space, and everything else in between. And, oh yeah, winner of this year's Modesty Award.
Duh. Yes.
You gotta give things a hook, too.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make them yours.
Yeah, right?
It's not the first time anybody's done that voice, I'm sure, but
Yeah, but-
I loved big dumb radio announcers because that's what we had when I was growing up. Is guys who loved the sound of their own voice.
Right.
And they were so precision with their dialogue and their elocution.
Yeah.
And so they were almost parody fodder.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, these guys will be like, all right, coming to the Worcester Centrum, you know, and it's like, you know, that staggered, like, these two, you know, these words are just too damn precious, you know, to let go of. This is pretty good. Yeah. You know, CBS FM, yeah.
What are some of your favorite characters that you've played?
Well, God, all the ones on Futurama, and people say, what's your favorite? But that's like asking you to pick your favorite child that you have. It's almost imponderable to think about because you put 1,000% into everything you do.
Yeah.
And you'll keep trying to put more into it. Like, you know, I'm a big critic of my work. I don't watch a lot of it because I'll sit there and I go, dumb, you could have put, you know, you could have done this, you could have done that. And so I drive myself nutty until I learn to compartmentalize. It's like, it's not me.
Right.
you know, because it is so surreal to me that this goes on, that your voice is everywhere, or
Yeah.
it's like I have to compartmentalize and enjoy it for what the work is. It's one of those, you were asking about voices. Yeah, I used to do teachers. You know, there was a guy who was a shop teacher named Mr. Stewart.
Oh,
And
I knew him.
Yeah, he was a shop teacher. Everybody.
Did we all have him?
Everybody had him.
We all had him. Everybody
Yeah.
had
And
him.
this guy had a turkey neck, and I used to draw caricatures of him, and then I put wings on him, and I you know, I was bored. And so, but his whole thing was, if he caught you doing something, he'd just say, "Get up out of there." And they were dreaded words, you know. You'd be like
Get up.
eating your sandwich, and then if you go, "Hey, that's my fork," you know, "You talking? No, get up out of there." And it's like, oh no, stupid Stewart's got me in his shop, you know, and he's got the cage, you know.
Oh no.
It was crazy.
Wow.
You know, there's a million more teachers. I'll tell you about them.
That's crazy. So, Billy, can you teach all of us?
Yes.
I love this because this is going to be cool. Can you teach
He's very
us?
excited about this.
I
Can
am.
you tell?
I'm
Can you-
excited about it.
Can you
I hope I do it
He just
right.
got excited. Can you teach us how to do a voice, like, for example, Popeye?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm a freak. I can't
We know
explain
that.
why a lot of things happen that come out, but I do analyze. I spectrum analyze everything I hear, because when I was growing up, my world was a sonic world.
Yeah.
I loved music on the radio. I didn't watch a whole lot of TV, only stuff that I absolutely loved and I'd be obsessed with. But, you know, I would listen and analyze everything, why somebody sounded the way they did. And so Popeye, we all could do it in the schoolyard, you know, but everybody did it wrong. It always sounded like a garbagey, you know, send up of
Yeah.
Popeye. So I didn't bother eventually. But then it bugged me because I got the assignment to do Popeye for Fox. They did it in CG. And it was like this half-hour or 45-minute program. And I wanted to do it as faithfully as I could. So what I boiled it down to was I saw this movie. It was like an art house film called Genghis Blues. And it was about Tuvan throat singers.
Yeah.
You know, and these guys, you know, since Tuva is a horse culture, they have like a country western beat when they do their own songs. It's like, ching, chicka, ching, chicka, ching, you know, and it's not like, well, let me tell you a story about a man named Jed. It wasn't like that. It was like, ching, chicka, ching, ching, you know, and I said, that's like Popeye, you know, like having a rough morning or something, you know, and what I realized was that it was the low voice and a high voice at the same time, which I sort of knew, but they had control over the octave, and they could produce pentatonic scales on a whistle that they would develop on top of that voice. At the top of their, the roof of their mouth, the tongue could create pentatonic scales. I said, this is crazy. And no wonder they say we only use like 5% of our brain. It's these kind of people are using 6. You know, there's always a place that we don't know that you could draw upon. I hope we all find out someday. But but anyway, the thing with Popeye is it was a low voice, you know, like, yoo-hoo, olive oil, I bring you some flowers, you know.
Yeah.
And then there would be a high voice on top.
Yoo-hoo, olive oil, I bring you some flowers.
And then they, together, if you can control the high and the low and make it the same
That's
octave.
the trick.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like,
Yoo-hoo, olive oil, I bring you some flowers.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
2 notes at the same time.
You means you wants me to sit like a baby?
You
That's
know.
insane, dude. Put it right there.
Oh, yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
That's crazy. So then that'll take some practice
Yeah.
before we all get that.
Work on that.
If there's somebody out there, people that are out there, let's say they don't do any voices, but they would love to. Is there anything how can they start doing voices?
I always believe that anybody could have a starting point if they had no idea. It's like if someone throws you in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
You're going, I don't even have anything to hold on to. If you can make any kind of sound, a noise like or in there are the textures and tones, which is opening up the door to the universe of sounds and voices. And so if you can make or even you could do Bugs Bunny.
like, what's up, Doc? And it's based on this. And even a lousy impression of it is a voice no one's ever heard before. It could be a New York doorman or something like, don't you believe in tipping? And there's a voice no one's ever heard before. But it's the placements.
Right.
You find them on your own. But if you can make any of those noises and you talk and you learn a little bit about delivery and acting, I think that's the best starting place.
Wow, that's great.
It works all the way around, and if you can make a noise like, say it was a noise like or you can make a voice out of it. And I learned to play with that. I learned to play with that and do Stephen Hawking.
No way.
Yeah. Like, I have cancer. Actually, that's not him. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because when I was a little kid, my mom was in a restaurant with me, and I had to be about 3, and I heard this buzzing in the restaurant, and I'm going nuts trying to figure out what it is. And I look over, and there's a guy going, I'd like some bacon. And I was like, ah! I didn't know what to do. My hair was standing up like a little rascal. Ah! And I go, Mom, what is that? This guy's got this thing. What is it? And she happened to know. She said it was a Bell Telephone artificial larynx for cancer patients who had their voice box removed. Oh. Okay, so cut to years later. I'm in Vegas.
You couldn't quite process that at 3, right?
No.
Yeah.
But years later in Las Vegas, I was with a bunch of buddies, and we were looking at Old Town Vegas, where the pawn shops are, and there's, you look in the pawn shop window, and there's usual pawn shop stuff like, a guitar and a pistolero and a silver dollar, a ring,
a watch,
a prosthetic leg, and a prosthetic leg.
What?
It means that somebody came in there
and said, how much?
And they went and gambled.
Oh, man.
And if they won, they'd come back like, I can get it now. But the other thing that I saw was this gadget. And I go, why do they have that in the window? Why? Who cares? What is this thing? Table cleaner, like the cool tool that waiters have. I thought there must be something. And I go in, and the guy, I said, what's that gadget in the window? Is it what I think it is? And he goes, what do you mean, like the artificial larynx? And I go, yeah, I want to buy it. And he's like, well, I don't know, $2. and that would, to me, I would have paid $200. It's the old I gotta know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't have $200. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together.
Did you have $2? Did you buy it?
Yeah, I did that day.
Yeah.
Okay, he bought it.
I bought it. No, I didn't steal it.
Do you still have it?
So I ran back to my hotel room. It had to be like, God, I don't know, Monte Carlo or someplace like that. And I go in the mirror, and I can't wait. My hand is shaking. I said, this is the freakiest thing. It screwed up my childhood trying to figure out. It gave me nightmares, this thing. And I was like, it's like you got to conquer your fear.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like if you're scared of rats, you got to sit down and kill one and eat one.
Oh!
And then you own all rats.
Yeah.
So I take the thing, and I'm like, hey, what the hell? And I looked at it, and I said, it doesn't work. And I called the guy, and he goes, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm just trying to talk with it. He says, you can't talk with it. You got to have no voice box for it to work. And I said, oh. So I gave up on the idea of that.
Let me call you back.
Yeah, and try to learn how to imitate it.
Yeah. Can I get my $2 back?
Yeah.
And I loved old robots from the 50s, that artificial talking, it's like, I hate you.
Yeah.
Intruder alert.
Yeah.
But I'm talking inside there. You
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
get good at that.
Yeah, that's
Your tongue
pretty
is
good,
doing-
man.
Your tongue is doing overtime.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that that people can do? What's the best advice you can give them if they want to be an actor, a voice actor?
A voice actor,
Yeah.
specifically. I would, number one, something I said earlier, is go to where they need voices. Like if there's a morning show on local radio, it wouldn't kill you or hurt you to go by and talk to the program director and ask if you can come in and do, whatever's on your mind, and you'll find out if it stinks or if you got promise,
Yep.
But it's a place where they need what you're dreaming of doing.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you could actually get up and, get up to the plate and do it.
Yeah.
it takes a lot of courage, because to get into this business, think about this. You're in a business of 90% unemployment, and your job is looking for work. Yes, you. But you get better and better, and the chances grow, and the odds get in your favor. The more you learn, and the more you know how to get an audition, how to win a gig. The other thing is the acting lessons. I would take a couple of classes in just basic acting so you can learn how to go back and forth with another person, because sometimes, like all actors that come in, including the vocal actors, they like to play, and stuff comes from play, and sometimes the director will go, what were you two just doing? And we were just screwing around. He says, that's something really good is there, maybe we could try that with a couple of the characters. And
so improv,
you
right?
gotta be, improv. And if you don't, or you can't go to an acting school, or there isn't one near you, or a teacher, just if you got an iPhone, there's so much crap going on iPhone that you could actually have a conversation with someone who's talking to you, or talking down to you, like, deliberately and slow, and you can fill in the blanks. So I got a cell phone. It's not
you're going onto YouTube?
It's not the latest, but I'll go on YouTube, and I looked up Screaming Woman, because I thought it would be great, since this
in his spare time.
Yeah, so this is small, so it could be a phone.
Yeah.
And I have it on speakerphone. But she's screaming, and immediately I thought of in It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World. Spencer Tracy's on the phone talking to his wife, and he goes, listen, just calm down. And his wife is going, why won't you talk to your daughter? And he's like, I can do it. Billy Sue. And she's on the other end, and she goes, Daddy. It's the mother and the daughter are having a fight. So I said, if you can get junk like that out of your cell phone, you can play along. Because Spencer Tracy was doing it, that great actor. He was probably talking to nobody.
Right.
And yet you can almost hear what the other person is saying. I'm not going to go that far, but let me see if I can dial this up. Okay. All right, I'm taking a conversation here.
He's getting a phone call.
Okay, here comes a phone call. Yeah, hello.
Since you assaulted my kids and family?
Yeah. Well, what's the problem with that then? I would do everything now, but sometimes there isn't time to do everything now. Will you shut up when I'm talking to you, for Christ's sakes? Look, if you're going to yell, I'm going to hang up the phone, okay?
No, you just did an illegal phone and yours weren't here. What's your name and number, Norma Kay?
I know about the dog. I know he's got a funnel collar around his neck and everything, and he needs flea treatment. He's probably got mange, but thanks to you, what do? You lock him up all day. He never gets to go out and run.
You come here all the time.
Yeah, I do. I do, and I will. I can help you with it.
That's a lie.
Just like, and then you suddenly, you're on automatic pilot.
Yeah.
You're defending yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you do that and you don't think about it, it almost becomes personal. Like if there was somebody doing this to you, and it's like, why are you screaming at me?
Yeah.
Or whoever's saying anything, like, don't be condescending with me. Don't be too cute and talk down to me. If it's like somebody, you will find over time that, because there's a million things on YouTube to play with.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's
Literally.
That's a
And
great
if you're
tip.
just
Fantastic.
looking at somebody and you're filling in the blanks as they talk, it gets you out of yourself. Suddenly you're not you who's responding as you always would.
Right.
You've become a character in a play or a cartoon. And you could try to do different voices too. You don't have to be a henpecked guy, which, that's kind of what I would sound like if someone's screaming at me.
Right.
But you could do an English accent. Accents are great. Listen to them. You can get language tapes. But YouTube is a blessing because you can watch English people speaking proper English.
Right.
The Americans don't speak English. They speak American. And you'll learn so much insight about delivery and peaks and valleys when someone's talking. You can't just have one thing. Like I went to the zoo, I saw an ostrich, I went to feed him something, and much like Newt Gingrich, he bit me. No, it's like I go to the zoo, and then all of a sudden I've got snacks for the ostrich, and I can't wait to go see him. So I come over to the cage, And I get closer and closer. All of a sudden, the ostrich comes up and pulls it out of my hand, but he bites me at the same time. That's peaks and valleys. It makes you much more interesting to listen to.
You have life.
Yes.
You have life.
Passion.
You.
Wow.
Billy, can you pinpoint or remember the moment when you really felt like you had made it, that your career in the voiceover business was on a track?
That's a tough one because I'm one of those people. Again, I have immigrant mentality, which is an old world thing, but all my uncles and, and grandparents and everything, they were all immigration, early first generation Irish. And it's like these guys worked 18 hours a day. And then the next generation worked more than 8 hours a day, sometimes 10 hours a day. And if I'm not doing anything, I can hear those voices, immediately going to me. You had a chance to work for 18 frickin' hours and they give you this and you wouldn't do it, you lazy frig. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you better do the right witty little voice today or your house is going to be gone when you come back. And I still have that in me. It's like I'll keep working till they tell me not to come in anymore. And you never feel like you've got it made or you made it. It's not to keep being famous and have a publicist get your name in the paper every week. Like, no one's talking about me, so have somebody come up to me when I'm walking the red carpet and dump flour on me, like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
That's a publicist move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she was out of the news for 4 days.
Right.
I need something. It's not that. It's you usually could become an endless treasure trove if you're really good and you have passion. You just want to keep doing it just to see what on earth you can bring to the table. You know what I mean? Like, I always came to this business like, I want to be a contributor. I don't want to wear a Woody Woodpecker t-shirt and say, see that? That's me. I was never interested in that. And the money, I never dreamt in a million years you could actually make a living doing voiceover. To me, it's like, it's one of those careers, and I think a lot of people at home, and you in your own lives, you too, have felt like it chose you.
Yeah.
You didn't choose it. You had nothing to say about it. One day something comes and grabs you, and you don't know where you're going, but it takes you down this road.
Yeah.
And when you're open and you can spot a break when you see one, know how to be appropriate, how to be business-like, because half of show business is business. You can be all show and you can be a nut that is always on and dancing on tabletops, but it's not professional in the arena because that means you won't do what you're told. And a director rules. The directors are the ones you try to please.
Oh, guess what? We just ran out of time. Sorry about that, but be sure and tune in next week for part 2 of the Billy West interview.
And send us your questions and comments, and like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at VOBuzzWeekly. You guys take care until next week, and just remember, you always have time for a little buzz.